Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So we're all human, obviously, and we love to be with other people, that social interaction, and also in more intimate relationships when you have a partner and you're with somebody and usually it's all good, but sometimes when it's not, then you need to get a little help with that. And we're going to talk about that today, improving your relationships. And she is a coach that helps individuals and couples do that in many different capacities. Allison Cowan joins us again. Allison, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy to be with you again, Steve, and be face to face. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And before we dive in, your website, let's give that to everybody.
My website is www.purposefulpathwayslifecoaching.com.
Gotcha. So I'd love to, when we talk about relationships, start with my best friend.
Okay.
Because this just happened.
Okay.
And he's trying to navigate through it. They've been together 6 years. They get together like once or twice a week because they live in different areas. Long story short, I actually put them together.
Okay.
And she's wonderful. He's, again, my best friend forever. Over the weekend, we went to meet some other friends in a reunion out of state. And she was upset that it was supposed to be their anniversary weekend. They weren't sure exactly what the date is, so they made this past weekend their anniversary weekend. However, he went with me and a bunch of other guys. We all met up and just like, silly, goofy fun, like we were back in high school. And, 3-4 days, and then he was back. Now, she's unhappy that he chose to go that weekend.
Okay.
But one of the friends flew up or drove up actually from another state. And it was the only time he could do it. So that's why we all got together. And actually, we surprised that friend. He had no idea we were coming.
Okay.
Here's the part. I get what she's saying. She's like, why wasn't it a couples weekend? Why? Because the guys were just hanging out. And yes, one of the friends came up with his girlfriend. So it was a couple, but he's traveling with her. And then the other friend, we stayed at his house and his wife just happens to live in the house. So,
Okay.
that, yeah, there was a couple of couples, but it was just the guy thing. But here's the thing. My friend took his girlfriend to this same house and hung out with his friend about 2 months ago. And it was a couples thing. So he already had taken her down there, but we coincidentally went back there because we all got together. And she's unhappy and they're kind of going at it. And she's like, I expected you to cook me a dinner for our anniversary. And he's like, well, I always cook. She doesn't. He's like, what if I want to go out? So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to give him advice. I'm not really sure what to say. I'm siding with him because he had already taken her there like 6 weeks, 8 weeks before this weekend. And now she's, kind of bent out of shape that, he hung out with his friends. What are your initial thoughts? I don't want to color this in any way, but what are you thinking?
It sounds like there were a couple things going on. One would be uncommunicated expectations.
Okay.
So, you had your expectations, or your friend had his expectations, his girlfriend, his wife, had hers, but they weren't communicated. So the other didn't know what the other one wanted or needed.
Maybe. He was clear that they would get together for their anniversary this weekend coming up. So they were just going to delay it and they were going to go out to dinner. And, she's very insecure. So I think she may be thinking that, he's having this crazy wild time with all these couples. No, it's a couple of guys sitting around a fire pit.
Okay. Okay.
That's what we did. We took a drive to a mountain. That's what we did. Stupid jokes that we told when we were, 17. We told the same jokes over again. That was it. But I think she's insecure about a lot of things and, maybe thought he was having more fun without her, but he did bring her there. Again, we're talking like 4 states away, no exaggeration,
Right.
recently. So it's not like she didn't get that time that she was expecting. It just wasn't this time. But yeah, I guess the setting the expectations, making sure that everybody is clear as to what they want is super key.
And then there are five, and I want to make sure I can get them all because I sometimes forget one of them. But there's appreciation,
Hmm.
attention, acceptance, affection, and allowance.
Hmm.
And allowance is when you are able to let your partner have their own autonomy and trust them. So if there is insecurity going on, there may be some control
Hmm.
that is happening because, if I allow him to do this, then she may go into a tailspin of what ifs.
Hmm. I hear you loud and clear. Yeah. Thinking that, well, I give them a little bit of freedom, and what are they actually doing down there? What's going on down there? And I can tell you firsthand, he tells me everything. There's, as I do to him, uh, he would never do anything to jeopardize
Mhm,
a relation, ever, ever.
mhm.
Uh, and it's all good except for this one little piece, the insecurity. But I totally hear what you're saying. It's the mind starting to wander. What is actually going down there? And it comes down to trust.
And allowance is of all of them, is the most difficult for couples to work through. Um, and it is about trust.
Mm, yeah.
You are right. There's got to be that trust level. And how, have they sat down and discussed what trust means to them?
That's a really good point. That is really a really good point. Because I don't know how you would define that. What does it mean? Like when you go away for a weekend with your friends, what does that trust mean? I'm going to text that to him right now. Yeah. What does it mean? What is it? And again, what, Allison, you're going back to what you said originally. It's the expectations. What's your expectation of trust?
Right.
Wow. Yeah, very clear.
And then, is there any evidence of mistrust? So, you know, somebody gets upset and insecure. Well, what evidence is there that the other person did something to break the trust?
And I'm not in that relationship, so I can't speak 100%, but knowing him since we were kids, I doubt it. I
Mhm.
doubt it. I mean, he's even shared, if they go to a party and there's, girls dancing and they're in their 20s, wedding or whatever, she's like, you know, and he's sitting right there, not doing anything. But I think she is insecure and has trust issues.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a really what is the definition of trust in your relationship? How do you define? Because it's different for everybody. You may have I don't know, a more open relationship where you can do this or you could do that, but you still have to know where the trust line, the boundaries, call them the boundaries lie.
I'm also picking up a little bit on something that is called attachment theory.
Okay.
And it does start in childhood and
Hmm.
how somebody is raised. And there's all sorts of, you know, different um, you know,
Triggers.
anxious, the names for avoidant, anxious, this, that. Um, there's a whole list of them that I can find them. I just like not pulling them all off the top of my head.
Sure.
So, anxious, it sounds like there's an anxious form of attachment that she's brought and
To the
into
relationship.
the
Yeah.
relationship now, because we do that. The way the attachments that we do bring them into our future relationships.
So let's go back to that, Allison. And by the way, we're talking with relationship and individual coach as well. She works with couples and anybody looking to move their life forward. Allison Cowan with Purposeful Pathways Lifecoaching.com. Let's say that your let's say there was an issue with your parents. Maybe one maybe they got divorced. Maybe one abandoned, walked out, whatever it might be. I don't know her situation,
Mhm.
but there could be something that goes way back that is now back in her head and she doesn't even know it, but that's what's really kind of driving the relationship and call it the mistrust or maybe insecurities. Is that something you do? Do you go a little bit deeper into that and talk about somebody's upbringing, childhood, things like that?
Yes, especially when it comes to attachment theory. And I've been actually studying attachment theory for like 30 years, back when my children were little. And I remember when I was growing up, I felt like I was misunderstood, that it wasn't a match. Um, and, there was a lot of just differences of personality that, I was loved, but some parts of me were not accepted. And I guess what I'm getting at is that just because an attachment style has developed doesn't mean it can't be fixed. Because when I had my first child, and this is when I really started looking into attachment theory.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mother and I had always had a bit of a, you know, off and on, I knew I was loved, but sometimes felt misunderstood. And I learned, well, who mothers the mother?
Hmm. Well,
And so I ended up mothering my mother. She may be surprised when she hears this.
hi, Mom.
Yeah. um, but it was just like I started to nurture her. And as I started to nurture her, she our relationship just blew
Wow.
wide open.
And
And
she might be, and I don't mean to cut you off. We do have
yeah,
a call we're going to grab, but she may have been dealing with things from her childhood and passes it on to you because it's all generational. Let's go to the phones. Hi, who's this?
Hi, my name is Keisha, and I was calling because I need help transitioning jobs, and I don't know where to start. I'm starting a job in a field I never worked in, and I wanted to know if you can help me.
Any thoughts on that?
sure. So Keisha, I didn't quite hear, you're starting a new job in a new field. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
Okay. And it's a field you've never worked in. Do you mind if I ask what the field is?
it's actually culinary, cooking,
Okay.
and
All
I've
right.
never worked in this field.
Okay. So sales with, or is it culinary?
It's cooking, so they say culinary.
Okay. Okay. Is this something you're passionate about?
I'm
Do
not.
you,
It's real new to me.
Say that one more time, Keisha. It's what?
It's not something I'm passionate about, but I wanted to see how it will work out with me on going into this career.
Okay.
okay. So you are wondering how to adapt to a new job?
Correct.
Okay. Um, if I were, as a coach, I normally don't give advice, but walking in with an open mind would be the first thing. And then asking all of the questions. So as you're learning and feeling insecure, ask all of the questions. And not being afraid to ask those questions, because that's how you will learn. And you're learning a new skill, and everybody is capable of learning new skills. And mistakes may be made. And if a mistake is made, chalk it up to, oh, I just learned something.
Right.
Now I know, and I can move on. Mistakes are learning opportunities. Doesn't mean you failed.
So Keisha, this is a new job. You don't really have a passion for it, so we're going to call it, it's a job. It's a job, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm right away. I don't want to be the mirror in front of Keisha's face here, but if you don't have a passion for it, I think it's going to be even more challenging. But we all need to. Job opportunity comes up, we need to support ourselves. You gotta do what you got to do and go for it. But what do you really want to do, Keisha? What like right now? I'm not the therapist. Just like,
No, because that was actually going to be my next question. Would be, it'd be great to get coaching around what do you love,
Yeah.
what lights you up, what brings you joy and fulfillment. And it may be that you're working a job and you still can do all of these things,
Yep.
learn new skills. These skills are all skills are transferable in some way or another, but getting some coaching around what do you want to do?
Yeah. Is there something that stands out in your mind, Keisha? Oh, I think we might have lost her. Yep. Hey, no worries. But you know what? If she's still listening, I would consider that. But you know what? It's not for naught. In taking and to your point, Allison, in taking that job, you're going to learn new things. You're going to meet new people, and you're going to gain confidence as well. So there is a benefit and a paycheck.
Yeah.
The benefit to doing that anyway. So why not? But really, I might just go back to what really drives you. What do you really want? Because that's going to be the bing. It's a win if you've got the passion for whatever you're doing.
And Keisha, if you'd love to if you're still listening and want to contact me, I'd love to talk with you about, what do you love? What lights you up?
Yeah.
What fulfills you? What's going to make you want to wake up every morning?
Sure. And you might not even know the answer. There are probably people watching, listening right now that they don't know the answer.
It's a process. It can be a process. So it's not like coaching isn't something that always happens overnight. It's a process. And because it's like we talked about last week, that discovering, there's that third pillar where we discover and keep discovering and test it out and, eventually come to the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what you help people with. Help them think about that, what their passion might be. I remember I've been doing radio broadcasting since I was 17, and I left a big job after like 2.5 decades. And it was like the job. I got it when I was 18. It was the job, and left. It was just didn't seem right anymore. And got out of radio for a couple of months, and I started looking for jobs where I wanted to help people. So I would go to a hospital, director of external affairs and things like that, because I wanted to help people and be part of a community or whatever. And then I was like, duh, you've been doing that all along. You just didn't realize it. Somebody actually said that to me, Allison, and could have been a therapist. It could have been a counselor, or a friend. They said that you've been doing it all along. Why don't you just go back to doing what you were doing? So I did.
Absolutely. And look at just this is our second time together, and you offer value. You are offering value to people
As you are.
by
Yeah.
showing up and then having people call in, and you have great insight into people in general. I sense that there's something intuitive that you pick up on things. And
You know what's funny, Allison? People have said that before, and I don't even, I don't think about it. It's just, I just do it. Like, so
Yeah.
I guess, in Keisha's view of things, maybe, find that job where it's not, and it's such a cliche, but as I've learned, it shouldn't feel like work. And if that's then you found it. Then you found your life purpose if it doesn't feel like work.
And it doesn't, sometimes people think that, have a belief that, well, then it needs to be some huge, uh, something that they believe is more important than something else.
Right.
In reality, the it doesn't matter what the job is. Some people find fulfillment
Yeah.
um cleaning. Some people find fulfillment
Yeah.
it's
I totally got you. I totally
yeah.
understand what you're saying.
So it doesn't matter what
Right.
type of job. It's just
Yeah.
you find that fulfillment.
And don't let other people judge you or think that they're going to judge you. Like, for example, you could be the executive at the XYZ company over here. And maybe you're already doing that, whatever. But then you could have another job here. And I don't mean to put them in different levels. So we'll put them here. And you could be, somebody who loves horticulture and plants. And yeah, wow, I've loved it since I was a kid. So then do that. If it feels right inside you, then do that. And don't let people look, well, he's just given up that job at the XYZ company. If you financially are okay with all of these changes, then do what you love. Do what feels right. If it doesn't feel right, you go to work every day, it doesn't feel right. Then it's just like it's like the cogs in an engine where they're struggling trying to turn, but they're not really turning well.
Yeah.
But that, for that, that's where you're there, because sometimes you need to talk to somebody to get I call it the camera angle, different camera angles from somebody.
And there are times that you can be in a job that maybe isn't your favorite job, but you can make it the best that you can.
Right.
So, there's different ways of looking at it.
Well, I love what you just said, Allison, because you said make it the best that it can, but maybe also make it yours. So let's say you are the executive at the XYZ company. It's like, all right, I don't really love the job, but then you start a program. This is hypothetical. You start a program where you're planting trees in your community, and you're using the XYZ company to help fund that and make your community a better place. And now you've kind of grabbed it within.
Yes.
You've made it your own.
Yes. So you can different outreach. There's so many possibilities and so many ways to get creative.
Sure.
So,
it goes right back to, and it's on, and we're just about out of time. It's in back of you. Anything is possible. The words above your head there on your wall. Anything is possible if you open your mind to it. Like we said, make it your own, or even Keisha. All right, be that cook, the culinary job, but maybe there's something else floating out there, and start thinking about it. If somebody wants to work with you, Allison, they go to your website. Is it a free discovery call?
I offer a 1-hour complimentary consult call, discovery call. But it's 1 hour. It's free of charge. So we really get into what is going on and the challenges that someone is facing, so that there's a lot of clarity, and how I can help where they want to be, what results do they want, and I take my time with them because, they deserve it, and they're making a choice to trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to give that time so that they can sense that trust.
Love that. And even an hour, you learn a lot talking to somebody. And if it's a right fit, appreciate you being here today. It's funny. We started before we went on. We're like, I don't know, what should we talk about today? We just kind of went along. But, also just as important, I'll be texting my best friend later with some of the things that you shared, because yeah, definitely super important. Allison, Cowan, thanks for being with us, and looking forward to getting together when we hook up again next time.
Oh, Stephen, it was wonderful again. So much fun. I just, this is the second time together, and I just feel over the moon every time we have.
No, it's great to have you here. You're like breath of fresh air. Purposeful Pathways lifecoaching.com, right?
Correct.
Go there and get a free consult, free discovery call. All right. Thanks, Allison. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.